had moments. Both teams played well. And we saw like young stars kind of shining. Yeah, just it was actually a really exciting game. I felt like I was watching, like I felt like it was meant for something, and it just was a friendly.
Yeah. It was just there to
Mm.
make sure that people are understanding that football isn't really going anywhere. And when you're looking at how the younger players are coming through as well, it's absolutely fantastic. Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams as well, which is great to
Yeah.
see from the other wing as well, which is fantastic. But I'm looking at it and I'm just like, these are the things we want our English youngsters to be doing, but they're not because they're playing out of position. They don't have a suitable manager, in my opinion, as well. But Matthew, I want to get your take on this as well. Do you think Spain and Brazil have better youngsters than England? Let's hear it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's taken me a bit of time to realize, but you know, I see what you did there, Hamza. But no, listen, Spain are quality. You know, I was watching a bit of the game. Don't ask me how I was watching it.
Don't need to
But
know. Don't need to know. It's all
listen,
good.
that Lamine, but listen, that like Lamine, unbelievable. Like you know, like sometimes you see youngsters come in and you kind of think they're gonna peter out. We've heard the name and they're not really gonna do much. But he's quality. He is. When I see him, I think someone was saying about the Rafinha thing. Like, forget Rafinha now. This is the guy. Like your mouth is no, it's true. He's unbelievable. All right, he may have dived for the first one. Sarah, I don't know if you're gonna agree with that. But yeah, he was quality in the game, and I give him his dues. And Williams, we've mentioned as well, I think is quality. And I think Spain are in a position where they've got some good youngsters. I don't see them winning a competition yet, but
Mhm.
should they really work on them, I have no doubt they're going to do well. And the youngster they've got at Barcelona, that Sarah put up the other day, and I've been checking him ever since.
Fermin
What's
Lopez.
it called? No, the other one, C,
Oh,
Brazil.
Kubarsi.
Paul Gabarsi.
Yeah, he's a
I
dog.
listen. I even started following him on Instagram. Like honestly, he's been unbelievable as well. But yeah, I think Spain and Brazil are kind of ahead of us, and I don't think Gareth Southgate's not the type of manager to pick them like these other teams do. Look how long it took to put Kobe in the team and try and play this other one. He has his set players, Conor Gallagher, the Maguires. Today, he didn't want to take Rice off, you know, and that's the problem. And I feel that may hinder us going forward. I love seeing teams that just play a lot of youngsters and just give them time to express. And in the future, they do a lot better. The Brazil ones, I don't know a lot about them. I was watching the England Brazil game at Wembley the other day. I didn't know half the team. I just
Yeah.
saw players coming in. I was like, and who's this
Matt
one?
doesn't know
Who's that
football.
one? I know football, but I just don't know that Brazil team now, man. But this industry plant, yeah, Endrick, shirt
I
tucked
like it. I
in,
like it.
collar up. It's mad.
Yeah.
And he starts talking about what Bobby Charlton scored here. And so what it meant to him, I said,
What's
how
he
do
gonna
you
do now
even
after the
know
game?
that?
Got Puskas scoring here as well. It's crazy when you're thinking about it.
Like it's mad. But listen, credit to them. But England got a lot to do to catch up to them two teams for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy to think. And England drawing 2-2 as well, Matthew. Let me hear your thoughts on that one as well against Belgium. So very, very poor at home. Really, really sad to see.
And first of all, I know you're not sad that that's happened.
I'm definitely
Um,
sad. I mean, I told everyone, I'm like, we're not favorites. We're not even the top five of favorites. But even England fans need to realize that when we have Gareth Southgate, he's got the handbrake on this England side and has had it for so
mm.
many years. And it's shown again the last couple of games, which is embarrassing to see.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that. You know, you look at Belgium. Belgium don't strike fear into you like they used to. Like, right, they got the Tielemans, Lukaku. I was looking at Onana in midfield, Doku. There's mismatch at the moment. It's not the golden generation they once had. Someone put today, it's the bronze generation, which is mocking it a little bit. Um, but yeah, I know, quite harsh. But yeah, I really thought England would do a lot better. I just don't know what it is with them. Like, I felt we can go and win the Euros, and I'm sticking by that, by the way. Sorry, it was me. I said they're going to win the Euros, and I'm sticking by it. But if Gareth Southgate continues to be like this with the players that he's keeping into the team, we're not getting there. Like I just don't feel like he doesn't let the hand put the handbrake down. Everything's got to be rigid, and when you go to Euros, let your players just put your Foden and your Bellingham. Let Bellingham play where he plays best. Foden in the 10, and he just doesn't do that. Like you know, what I mean, and I feel like it's frustrating because we have this talent. We see it in the Premier League, but when they get together for the international team, it just doesn't work. But I see the vibes in training gets me excited, thinking we're going to do it. And then I watch this drab performance today, and I think I don't know. But get Gareth Southgate out after Euros, gone.
Well, his contract is up in December which seems like kind of a weird time because
Mm.
there's just
Mm.
like this lull period after a tournament. But for me, I'm in complete agreements with you, Matthew. Like I think I've said this from the beginning. I'm just trying to remember like when I even had faith in Gareth Southgate, and I don't think I ever had because since that
Mm.
Euro, do you guys
Mm.
remember the final? We're talking 120 minutes with Italy, and they had one shot on target, and that was the goal they
Mm.
scored right at the beginning of the match. From then, I was
By a
thinking,
left back.
oh, no, yeah, well, I mean, like this is what with the quality players you have, and you are not being able to convert your chances or at least take your chances. This to me is not an issue with the squad because you look at these players, you look at Declan Rice, you look at Phil Foden, you look at Bellingham when they're all in their clubs and they're performing, and somehow what they go through some weird like window all of a sudden and now it's just not happening. No, they're not playing in their positions. You're right, they're not getting the playing time. They're not, yeah, it's shambolic, honestly. And I know that these are friendlies, but friendlies before major international tournaments are always a little bit more peculiar because it's the time that coaches have to basically try everything out one last time before it actually matters. So I do think like, yeah, they are friendlies. They weren't worth anything, but this was the time Southgate could have made different decisions before a Euro.
I'm looking at Gareth Southgate now and I'm thinking, where does he go from here? I'm looking at Gareth Southgate and looking at all of his players. He's got an abundance of players. He's got so many players in great form for their clubs. They can't really replicate it for their they can't really replicate it for their country. And you know what? Before I start recording, actually, we're on live stream anyway, so I'm gonna start recording now. Record computer. Phil Foden. That's my first topic of today. Phil Foden, Matthew Sarra. I want to know the last two England games has been lackluster because he's not been playing in his right position. He's played right wing against Brazil, where he was ineffective. He's got even more effective against Belgium, which I didn't think was possible as well. But Matthew, I'm going to come to you first because you got to go to watch England versus Brazil on the right wing. Phil Foden, ineffective, wasn't in the penalty box, no goals, no free balls into it. It's quite worrying to see. And everyone in England, even if you're a Man United fan, you love Phil Foden of what he does, what he brings to the table, universally respected as a top talent in world football. Where does Gareth Southgate fit him into the side? Because I don't want him being shoehorned in if we're not gonna get the best out of him. And I told you this last week as well, Matthew. I told you I was like, this is not going to be a case where we put all of our superstars into one team once again, like we did in 2004 and 2006, and it doesn't work for England. That's all. I see your thoughts, Matthew.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I feel like with Foden for England, it's just a completely different type of player. I'm trying to think of the last time Foden went on like a consistent run of games and really did very well for England. He has them games, on a rare occasion. I think in the last World Cup and Euros, he did perform in a cup against Wales. But I don't know. It just looks weird there. I feel like just playing him in his 10. That's his position. I feel the problem is with Jude. I think they're trying to push Jude into that. By what I'm seeing. But I don't know about you guys where you feel Jude's best position is. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a 10 like that. I think that's Foden's place. I feel like put Foden there, give him the ball, he'll make the magic happen. I just don't trust Gareth with any of these players. It's quite sad because honestly, we've got all this talent. And I look at all these other managers in world football. I look at Spain, for example, where they're playing Lamine in his correct position. I look at Brazil. Endrick came on second half, playing where he's supposed to be. You look at, let's say France, for example, players I've never heard of. The guy that went off injured today, I can't remember his name, Klaus or Klaus, whatever his name is.
Close, right?
Klaus, yeah. So players like that. I look at England, I'm like, where does he go? That's not his position. Why is he? And like Sarah said, when you play friendlies before the tournament, you should roughly know what you're going to do with your squad. And I feel like we're in a position where it's like we're still so confused as to what's going on. And that, again, is going to hinder us. There might even be a case of he might have to take Foden out. But then if he takes Foden out, who's he then going to put in there? So I don't know, just so many questions. It's a conundrum. I think as long as Southgate's there, we're going to always be asking ourselves these questions. But
We've got a lot of questions. We've got a lot of questions in the comments already as well. England aren't a serious team, never have been. I seriously hope England get rid of Southgate and go back to getting knocked out in the quarters. Better England teams with better managers have got nowhere, despite what Southgate has achieved already, if you want to call that an achievement. And 10 may be Foden's best position, but he doesn't play there for Manchester City. The fact of the matter is, you want to see the best out of some of these players that can play in new positions for their country as well. And the fact is, sorry, you've said this as well. Phil Foden has played in the middle and on the right this season for Manchester City in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne as well. So even if people have said he's not played in the 10. Kyle Walker recently said on a Rio Ferdinand podcast as well that he loves seeing Phil Foden in the 10. And in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne, Ilkay Gundogan, and Riyad Mahrez this season, I mean, the latter two, they were transferred away. Phil Foden has played a lot more games this season and started a lot more games for Manchester City in different positions. But sorry, let me hear your thoughts from an outside perspective. Do you think Phil Foden has what it takes to be the number 10 for England, with Jude Bellingham playing slightly behind him with Declan Rice as well?
Yeah, I mean, okay, listen to what you just said. Phil Foden playing the 10 with Bellingham behind him, and then you have Declan Rice there. Like those three alone.
Those are
Like,
first world problems. We have first world problems here in England. This is a crazy feeling.
it's incredible that we're talking about a squad with players like that, and they can't win a friendly. Mind you, win a final or a semi-final in these last couple tournaments here. It's just I don't even have words because like this shouldn't be an issue. But I think Phil Foden does have it. I really think like he's so special. He's one of the English players I've seen like in my lifetime that plays like a South American. Like he has the sauce. Like he's so like I think he's naturally talented with this kind of like extra. I don't even know how to explain it, but he has something about him. And
He has Jogo Benito instilled in his DNA. Phil Foden is a Phil
I
Foden is a Jogo Benito kid. He
and you
literally
wouldn't
is.
really say that about like English players almost ever. But if you have a player like that, like I think we've seen him do it, like you mentioned at Manchester City. And I think you need to at least give him a good solid go at England because we know he has it in him. Hopefully he can convert the same in England. And with Bellingham behind him, are you joking? Like the only concern I know people are talking about is that Bellingham shouldn't be playing as far back because we've seen what he's been able to do playing further up for Madrid. And he also has a lot of ability to create chances. So I know I've heard some English fans kind of saying like, okay, there's a bit of an issue there, but I don't know. To me, I don't think it's that big of an issue.
Great players will make things work as well. You're looking at Tony Cruz and Camavinga and Tchouaméni sitting back to allow Jude Bellingham to be the false nine between the 4-4-2 diamond that you have at Real Madrid as well. And it's worked really well for him. You've seen Jude Bellingham still score quite a lot of goals at Borussia Dortmund playing as a number 8 behind Marco Reus and behind Karim Adeyemi as a number 9 as well. So we've seen these things where Jude Bellingham is a smart enough footballer to understand when to go forward, when to stay back, when to hold the line as well, and when to track a defender who's coming the opposite way as well. So even with a lot of people saying he shouldn't be playing as a number 10 or a number 8, realistically speaking, they should build around Foden and Bellingham because that's the future for the next 10 years of English football. And if Gareth Southgate can't see that and he wants to play Foden on the wing to allow Saka to stay on the right wing and Bellingham as number 10, realistically speaking, Bellingham can dominate and dictate a lot of international games by playing as number 8. And we saw that at the World Cup last year as well, which was crazy to think about as well. But one question I'm going to ask Matthew before we move on to the Spain game once again, and a few players are from Spain. Kobbie Mainoo. Let's hear your thoughts, Matthew. Let me hear your thoughts on Kobbie Mainoo once again, making his first England start at Wembley Stadium. Very big in that first goal as well, turning out from the pressure that he received in the Belgian midfield, and again assisting in the penalty in a way, which is great to see. Big up Kobbie Mainoo because again, Stockport Iniesta in Phil Foden is balling out. And Stockport Seedorf is also balling out as well. So if you're from Stockport and you're playing football, I think you've got a good chance of becoming a silky footballer, if I do say so myself as well. So Foden and Mainoo, both international talents already for England. Let's see your thoughts, Matthew.
I'm half from Stockport as well, just to let you know.
You're
So
not, you're not, you're not. I've seen you goalkeep, Matthew. There's no Samba flair in your
my.
goalkeeping skills. Believe me.
Listen, I'm like Dida. But anyway, listen.
Matt Turner, you're like Matt Turner. That's all I'm saying. Nottingham Forest keeper.
No, you know what? Kobe's fantastic. You know what I think about him already. And I think sometimes you have to forget the club bias thing. Like when you see a good player, just say he's a good player. It's quality of what he does. And what I love about him the most, I don't know if you saw that little pattern of play where he had the ball and it looked like he had no options. And he just turned back and kind of got in between two. And no, these are the type of players that England lack. We've had too many safe players before. Gareth Barry days, get the
Scott
ball,
Parker.
pass it. Look, Scott Parker, them type of players. It's nice to have a player. Again, all these other nations have it where they'll run through and kind of straight away you're at the defense. So yeah, what he does, he is like the Clarence Seedorf. I put it on my Twitter as well. I put both of their pictures and said, look at them, But no, honestly, I rate the kid so highly. He has to be a certainty to go to the Euros. And if there's any doubt, or if Gareth even says, I'm not sure, get the guy away from our international team. Kobe has to be there.
He
No,
has
but
to be
you
there.
can even, but you can, I think Rice said it as well in
Yeah.
terms of how they've been doing in training. That three is perfect. Bellingham, Mainu, and Rice. That's it. That's the three. I don't want to see anything different. Bring him to Arsenal as well soon. But anyway, continue, Hamza. Sorry.
I don't get why you had to ruin it. You had such a good monologue there as
Yeah.
well, which is crazy. You like give him to Arsenal. Like, why? There's no chance at all. We'll take Declan Rice off your hands. Thank you very much indeed. That's kind of my thoughts already on England as well. I'm still not convinced Gareth Southgate is going to be the manager to get England a national trophy. And again, I'm going to say it on a show as well. But before we get on to the rest of the Wonder Kids, I need to get Sarah's opinion on Spain and how they've done in this international break as well. We spoke earlier about their free draw at the Santiago Bernabeu against Brazil as well. Fabian Ruiz and Rodri holding the midfield down as well. Lamine Yamal playing outstanding football once again. And Nico Williams, who I've been championing for quite a while now, is finally getting his recognition on the international stage as well. But I need to hear more from Sarah and Sarah's point of view from a Spanish perspective. Are you feeling confident that Spain can be one of the favourites for the European Championships? Because we heard Matthew say not really. I
Mhm.
personally have said already that I think they're in the top three for me. And England aren't in the top three for me for favourites for the Euros as well. But let me hear your thoughts, Sarah.
I think England are like the favorites to win the whole thing. I just by the odds makers, just so
Mm.
we're all clear. I think England and France are probably the two favorites. I'd say Spain is maybe top five for me. I don't know about three. Portugal are in there for sure.
We'll
And
get
then
on to them.
Spain, maybe, yeah, it could be between the two. My biggest thing for Spain is that obviously the loss of Gavi and Alejandro Valde is huge
Mm.
for them. And once that happened, almost back to back, I was like, that's gonna hit this team hard. But it was kind of at the same time where Morata was kind of coming into his own at Atleti, because the issue with Spain has constantly been since David Villa is gone, who's the striker, who's the striker. I keep saying this on the pod with you, Hams, but Morata has actually really come into form, which is great. But I feel like I'm kind of with Matthew. They're just missing just a little bit. It's almost like you need these players. I mean, Lamine Yamal seems to be ready to go, but your Gavi to come back. Pedri also, is he going to be fit enough? He's supposed to be ready for Barca when they take on PSG in the Champions League, but
Big news.
I, yeah, I mean, I don't know how he'll be feeling. He's kind of been on and off this whole season, so it depends on him. But there's just a few couple players that you want to see kind of come back 100% and also maybe have a bit more playing time. Pau Cubarsí, Fermin Lopez, who knows? But they're just short for me. Could they do it? Tournament style football? For sure. Anything can happen. But I agree. I think they're just short. But the game against Brazil was fantastic. I mean, you mentioned Endrick, but to me, this was a great showing from Spain because their lineup against Colombia was kind of an experimental lineup. They ended up losing that game to a phenomenal goal by Colombia, by the way. But it wasn't the lineup you're going to see in the Euros, so I'm not too pressed by it. But this lineup looked a lot better. And when you think that Cucurella probably won't be in it as well, like I
I
think,
did not get that selection at all. Alejandro Grimaldo has been on fire for Bayern Leverkusen this season. One of the best players, one of the best fullbacks I've seen this season. And Marco Cucurella, who's been awful for Chelsea this season. And whenever he joined Chelsea, for God's sake, as well. He starts at the Santiago Bernabeu against Brazil. And I'm like, what are they
yeah,
doing? That's so experimental as well. I didn't
that
get that too, Sarah.
that to me was probably the biggest issue in the lineup. The rest was decent. Danny Olmo had an absolute great match, but I think if you
Big up
put,
Dani Almo.
yeah, if you put Grimaldo in there, the Spanish team they're looking really good. Unai Simon, though, once again, and he will do this in the Euros, I promise you, because he does it in every tournament, will
100%.
pass the ball to the other team because that's exactly what he did. He's not great with his feet. He
Jordan
sent the
Pickford did the
ball.
same thing today as well for our first goal.
I just
Embarrassing.
look. So that's the thing. When I look at this, when you see the score line, you think it, but because like I watched the full match, Spain was the better team.
Mm.
Unai Simon passed the ball to Rodrigo for their first goal, and their third goal was Danny Carvajal being a true Madrid player and absolutely grabbing um Lucas Paqueta in the
He didn't
box.
get away with this time. He's in the Spain kit, not the Real Madrid
No,
kit.
but for me, I'm thinking like there's 2 minutes left of this game, and you're pulling a player down after the tackle didn't go through. Like Spain would have won. So I mean, listen, it's a friendly, it's fine. They played better, but the scoreline is a bit misleading because Spain gave their two of those goals away were given like by Spanish players.
Mm. I'm looking at it now, and Matthew, I need to get your final thoughts on Spain before we move on to other big teams who could be favourites for the European Championships as well. But my one is again about the goalkeeper. So Sarah mentioned about Unai Simon misplaced in the past as well. Arsenal fan David Raya on the bench, rested today. Do you think he's going to be good enough to be starting for Spain at the European Championships, or is it a simple Unai Simon's been the number one for a number of years now? He's not really going to get ahead of him before the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think this close to the tournament they'll change the goalkeeper. I feel like the next tournament or whatever happens after that, then it might be a case of they'll change Simon.
Yep.
But yeah, I think for now they'll keep Simon. I just want to ask quickly in terms of how's his form been, because there was a stage at Bilbao where he was like performing very well and he's linked with a lot of big clubs and he was guaranteeing Spain number one. How is he performing at the moment, Simon?
I mean, Bilbao are coming out of, well, they're coming into the Champions League positions in La Liga. They're doing really well, but it's kind of always been an issue with him, even if he's performing at club level. He's not great with he's just not confident with his feet, but he is otherwise probably the best keeper for Spain that they have right now. But could that be David Raya in a year or so? Absolutely. Because like the thing is with him is that he's been there for Spain, but he's also constantly made the same mistake, not even different mistake, the same one. And it gets to a point where if I'm the manager of this team, if I see another keeper that looks like they're confident, ready to go in David Raya, then I would say you have to do that, because he's proven time and time again that he's going to make this mistake. And it's absolutely frustrating. It's cost Spain tournaments.
Yeah. That's a problem. I think was it Kepa, Raya, and Simon? Those are three.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, long day. Imagine having Casillas and Valdez and going to this. Yeah. Perfect.
And then Reina in the background. I love Santiago Canizares. Oh my gosh, I loved him. What's a goalkeeper?
Crazy drop off as well when you're looking at it as well. But no, it's early days as well. So we're looking at Spain, and I think they're going to be really good to be watching out for as well, because they suit international football so well with their style of play, and a lot of teams really don't get how to play against Spain, and we've seen that previously. I mean, losing to Morocco in penalties last time, losing on penalties to Italy at the Euros as well.
Oh, we should have won that game.
I know. I was there. I was like, this is crazy. Why did Morata not start? And you played Olmo false nine, I think, and Oyarzabal.
They lost in penalties in Russia as well in 2018.
That's the thing. All teams can do at international tournaments so far to stop Spain from scoring is basically stop them from scoring more than them and taking them to penalties. And then their goalkeepers are the ones that have to risk it out. And we've seen it with De Gea, we've seen it with Simon last time as well. Crazy to think about. What's not so crazy to think about is the next team that we will be talking about. And France won 3-2 tonight against Chile with Kylian Mbappe assisting Youssouf Fofana as well. So I'm looking at this midfield that France played today. So Fofana, Kolo Muani, and Giroud scored as well. And you're looking at Mbappe on the left, Kolo Muani on the right. They've got Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Youssouf Fofana in the middle as well. Saliba and Konate centre backs, and Matthew's namesake Mike Maignan in goal as well. First namesake at the back as well. Matthew, talk to me. Are France genuinely favourites? Because you're looking at some of the players they're bringing off the bench. Jules Koundé, Marcus Thuram, Moussa Diaby. The players they don't bring off the bench. Zaire Emery from PSG. Ousmane Dembele as well. It's crazy to think about the quality that they've got in their side already. Just to think about the players that aren't even in the squad. What do you have to say about that, Matthew?
Yeah, but we've seen quality teams that they've had before not win other tournaments as well. I feel like sometimes with these, I think the Euros is different to the World Cup. I feel like with the World Cup, no matter what form you're in, it's kind of like it's all up here. You don't know what's going to. I think Euros is you've got a couple of European teams, one get knocked out group stage, and you're like, bro, do you know what? We can do this now quickly. That team's out. So it's kind of like a smaller competition. I look at France and I think they've got the quality. I kind of put them in the same league as England. Like Sarah said, them and England, for me, it's here. However, I feel like with France, they've just got...
France knows how to win.
They've got the better coach as well.
Exactly. I was just about to say they've got a couple more match winners in that team, in the French team, and I think that's
a coach who's a killer. Didier Deschamps has got Deschamps in his name, so he's actually been a champion as a player and as a manager as well. So again, he's got the experience and the expertise to win, which is crazy.
Let me big you up for that. That was a good one there, Hamza. Big you up, Deschamps. Hey, listen,
Deschamps
big up
crazy.
Hamza.
Bilingual.
Literally bilingual these days. I love it.
No, but do you guys think, because France obviously lost that first match to Germany, who we've seen Germany until this international break has been very poor, very, very poor. And I know this Chile side very well, and Chile has been another very poor team. They're still relying on players like Alexis Sanchez, like Vargas, like Claudio Bravo.
Like it's 2014.
No, but it is literally like they still are holding on to that golden generation when they won the back-to-back Copa Americas against Argentina, against Lionel Messi, because I don't know how their youth system is working, but they are trying to drain these players. If Arturo Vidal was fit, he would be playing here. But when you have a team like Chile still getting 2 goals against France, that to me shows that there's holes in this team. And then again, they're lost to Germany. So what is my question to you guys? Like, what do you guys think of France's performance in this break? Because I think going into it, they were favorites and they still may be, but I'm thinking, all right, they're beatable.
They are definitely beatable from what I've seen from France as well. You're looking at how they've always got a rotation at the back as well. They've never got a real set back four. We're not looking at these players thinking, I know the France back four off by heart. Like with the England team, you can say it, the France team, the Germany team, and dare I say the Netherlands back five, you can say it as well. But with Germany, I know, with France, sorry, you're looking at it and you're thinking sometimes Koundé will start, sometimes Upamecano will start, Saliba, Konate. Theo Hernandez seems to be the only ever present at left back from what I'm seeing as well. But it's the fact that they're still learning what their best back four is for this tournament coming up as well. And that's what Didier Deschamps loves to do in these friendlies. He loves to experiment. He loves to look at new combinations, what works, what doesn't work as well. He was doing it in the World Cup as well. Against England, he was starting Upamecano and Varane, I think. And then by the final against Argentina, I think it was Konate and Varane at the back and Upamecano was benched. And you don't really see that in international tournaments when you're rotating so much all the time as well. That's just my thoughts. The defense is something where it's a bit shaky for France because they've not really set on a defense. The attack is always going to be solid. You've got one of the best players in world football right now, absolutely shining for France. And you've got Olivier Giroud, who seems absolutely timeless as he's being linked with LAFC. He can't be going to LAFC. He's still got 2 more years at AC Milan, in my opinion. He can still dominate in Italy. Those are my first initial thoughts on France in this international break. What about you, Matthew?
No, I'm with you. I feel like you look at the French team, you took the words out of my mouth. I feel like going forward and in midfield, they're perfectly fine. I feel like someone gets injured in midfield, they can replace that. I feel like defensively, I don't think they've ever settled on a proper back four. I think the closest I remember was when I think it was Lloris Magnan, Pavard right, Hernandez left. I think they had Upamecano and Varane. Yeah, Upamecano and Varane. But I feel like there's just too many changes that been Koundé. So I don't think Saliba's first choice, first of all. I think Deschamps is not too keen on him. He's a bit doubtful.
Which is ridiculous, though, to me. Like how you're not starting Saliba is. I don't think you can start Upamecano, in my opinion. Like I think if you do that, you're gonna lose. And honestly, fine. I'm here for it. France will lose. Good for me. But Upamecano, like it's actually shocking. Like he is. You don't know he's too much of a risk.
There's a big risk in the big games as well. We've seen that in the Champions League for Bayern Munich. We've seen that in the Bundesliga. We saw in the World Cup last year as well. And that's probably the fact that he is going to be a bench player now going forward. Because personally, for me, I'm looking at this centre-back partnership and I'm thinking Saliba and Konate, 2 of the best centre-backs in the Premier League this season, up against who? Upamecano, Koundé, who can play at right back as well, Pavard, who can play at right back as well. And you're looking through the rest of them. I think this has got to be it for Didier Deschamps as well. Saliba and Konate have to be first choice because they are 2 centre-backs who are on the up and coming in the Premier League, who have been absolutely fantastic and are playing big level games week in, week out. I think they've got to be it for me.
Backs, I agree, 100%, 100%. But that's the only doubt I have with them. I think goalkeeper, the sorted midfield striker, just that back four where I'm a bit doubtful with France.
Griezmann leaving on injury as well, so that's something where they don't really have to replace him so much, but they're losing that presence as well in Antoine Griezmann as well. Right.
Do you guys think? Sorry, really quick. Do you think Giroud is going to the Euros? Do you bring a 37-year-old to the Euros?
You do
100%.
I mean, I love it.
You bring that 37-year-old.
Yeah,
you bring Giroud to the Euros.
You know he's gonna score in like one of the matches in the 87th in the header, and it's just gonna save the. Like he's going to have one of those moments. He's brilliant. Okay, well, we'll see.
He reminds me of Dzeko in a way, and Hamza will like this because Dzeko was underrated. Was it overrated, underrated? But yeah, I feel like with Giroud. You know what, with Giroud, you get, like you said, Sarah, like when it's the last 20 minutes, you need your goal. You can hoof it in the air to him, jump, chest it, bring it down. On the floor, you hold it up. Or the header. Look at the versus England. That cross went in, fantastic header past Pickford. And he's one of the few 37-year-olds you would be like, do you know what? You're in the squad no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be. I wouldn't like England having a 37-year-old, by the way, just saying.
Bit ageist
Don't know
right
what
there.
37-year-old.
You're looking at it and you're thinking you can't downplay his link-up play as well with Mbappe, with Griezmann, with Dembele in the first team that they've had for such a number of years now as well. Even since 2018, when you're thinking about how Giroud started every game, didn't score a goal at the 2018 World Cup, but was imperative to the way that they attacked for France as well. And he has been ever since. So you can bring in Marcus Thuram, you can start Kolo Muani, but they won't have that same impact of link-up play that they have with Kylian Mbappe. We've seen that at PSG, like straight up, like Kolo Muani doesn't link up the same way that Giroud does with Kylian Mbappe straight away as well, which is crazy to think about. Next game to talk about, we are going to Germany 2, Netherlands 1. Germany winning again. Germany winning 2 games out of 2. Nagelsmann is turning up in these international friendlies. And we had a conversation last week, Matthew, about how Germany never really turn up in international friendlies. But I think they've finally got their starting lineup now with Tony Kroos, who I think has taken a lot of pressure away from Julian Nagelsmann, and especially the two young wonder kids, Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala, at this international break as well, because Tony Kroos has come in, assisted within 7 seconds against France, and now he's balling out in the national team once again. And you've got another assist today as well, I think, for Fulkrug against the Netherlands, a winning goal. Joshua Kimmich is back at right back, and looking at Rudiger coming back to his best as well. Sarah, you'll be happy that Ter Stegen is the numero uno right now for Germany, as he should have been once again, which is great to see. So I'm going to come to Sarah for this one as well. Germany, what's your initial thoughts on them and the players that we've been bigging up all season long on the podcast? Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, they've been fantastic once again tonight as well. Let me hear your thoughts on what you think Germany can do at the Euros, their home Euros as well next summer.
I know the pressure's on for them, but I think you hit the nail on the head with the Cruz situation. I think he absolutely decided to return and come out of retirement because Germany, after he left, the recent, months have been shocking. They wouldn't have qualified for this Euro if they weren't hosting it, to be quite frank. We saw what happened to them in the World Cup. So I think he knew, he's like, all right, I'm getting to a certain age. If I'm going to come out of retirement and do one last, go, this is it. And he absolutely pulled a lot of attention towards him and away from Nagelsmann. Now, that being said, the German team, they've always been able to produce players. They've always had the talent. It's just a matter of getting it together. But when I look at the lineup today, Ter Stegen, Kimmich, Rudiger, Musiala, Jonathan Tah, Kroos, Gundogan, how is this team not doing better than what they've been doing? But again, it's similar to maybe England. Is it the manager not being able to get them together? Although Nagelsmann has only just been there how many months now? So
yeah, less than a year, I think, as well.
Exactly. But I do think Germany are maybe turning a corner right when they need to be. And I think looking at the way they've performed in this international tournament, and also let's be serious, they're Group A.
You're looking at them being home nations as well. Home advantage is a big, big factor in a lot of international tournaments as well.
Absolutely. But I also their group is not as daunting as Spain's, for example. So I think they're getting out of that group. They look good. They look like the old Germany. I don't think they're going to win it, but I can see them making a deep run in this tournament all of a sudden too. But they have it in them. They have the players.
They do. Speaking of players, Matthew, I'm coming to you for this one as well. Kai Havertz is finally starting as a striker for Germany under Julian Nagelsmann, because last year Kai Havertz started as a left wing back for Germany, which looked insulting to his career, to his development, and now is finally linking up with Florian Wirtz, Ilkay Gundogan, Jamal Musiala, and is looking ready to be that main focal point for Germany, because Nicholas Füllkrug for Borussia Dortmund, hasn't been it recently, and he scored the winning goal tonight. But it's not going to be a plan A, in my opinion, for Germany, with the way that they play, with the way that their wonder kids are coming through, and they're absolutely shining as well. Let me hear your thoughts on Kai Havertz, and do you think this is now the time for him to shine, not just for Arsenal, but especially for Germany with the Euros coming up?
Yeah, I feel like Sarah said, Germany have turned the corner, and I feel like Havertz himself personally, I feel like he's changing a bit in terms of how he's performing for Arsenal. I think he's performing better, and I think everyone can see that. And Nagelsmann just seems to get them all clicking. Like, I watched them against France and I thought, oh my God, they look so good. I did not expect it at all. And obviously, then I thought, okay, you got Netherlands today. And Netherlands are that type of team. On their day, they can beat you. You know what I mean? It can happen. But to see them win again, I'm like, he must be pleased with that. And yeah, Kai Havertz is going to be a focal point for them. I feel like in the Euros, Fulkrug, I think he'll be bench. I think they'll go with Havertz, Wirtz, and Musiala. And like Sarah said,
Scary
they
front
could
three.
do scary front three. And I feel like Cruz, Gundogan, and who else would they play in the middle? I'm
You
not
had
too
Andrick
sure.
in the middle from Bayern Leverkusen, balling out this season.
This is what I'm saying. So I look at that team and I think they're going to cause problems. Like if one of the favourites go out, Germany could easily take over that role of, doing that because they haven't won a competition, but they've got players that have been there, done it. Toni Kroos, Champions Leagues, big games, World Cups. Gundogan, the same thing. You've got Musiala doing it in Champions Leagues, doing his thing. Gnabry, I haven't even mentioned him. Leroy Sané, like
Neuer to come back into the squad as well. Neuer, Sané back into the squad soon.
Team's scary. Like honestly, it's actually scary. I'm not sure what their back four is like at the moment. They had a guy, the left back. He plays for Stuttgart. I can't remember his full long name.
Mittelstad has been balling this season. I'm surprised
Yeah.
Arsenal are going for him in the summer. He's a quality player.
No, we've got Zinni, man. We're good, man. But anyway,
he's awful. I'd rather start Kiwior at left back. It's fantastic.
No, I'm joking. Listen, respect my guy Kiwior. But yeah, and they're back to you. Remind me of their defense, guys. Who's their back?
Kimmich right back, Rudiger centre back, Jonathan Tah, Bayern Leverkusen once again centre back as well, and then Mittelstadt left back.
Tah I was never too sure about, but I feel like having Rudiger there again, fantastic for them. You know what? I'm looking at them like third favourites. You know.
Oh, you've changed your tune this week. You've changed your tune.
No, listen, third favourites.
But still, you weren't rating them last week. So I'm hearing you. I'm hearing the.
I don't think any of us were rating them last week, though. To be honest, genuinely, there's this this corner that they've turned is so eye-opening. I think Matthew's right. Like, okay, you mentioned home, the host, all the fans. That plays the 12th man, and like in the Euros, it's going to be obviously crucial, but. All of a sudden, yeah, if one of the big teams get knocked out, like I'm starting to think now, is Germany going to just shock us all and win the damn thing? And we're just going to be
heard it here first. They're getting to the semifinals.
Well, I mean, it all comes down to the brackets, right? Like who's going to play who, because that plays a major part in it. But I think if Germany has a decent road, like I said, I think they can make a deep run here. I can see Germany go to the semifinals. Right now, today, regardless of who they play. I would not have told you that last week.
It's got that Brazilian 2014 vibe. They just have a couple superstars in their team who can lift the crowd up and get them energized. And Musiala definitely has that aura about him. Wirtz definitely has that aura about him as well. And Toni Kroos as well. When you're watching him play, he is literally... it's literally just the leader that you've needed, the metronome you've needed in this German side for ages since he retired. And now he's back into it. It's good to see Toni Kroos back in international football. I'm expecting more from him coming up.
Quick one on that, yeah, and this is for Sarah especially. So there was a comment I saw on social media, and it said, Toni Kroos, and Hamza can get involved, Toni Kroos sits at the same table as Xavi and Iniesta.
And Modric.
Do you agree? And Modric. Do you agree with that?
Are you talking about like what they bring to their international squad? Or are you talking about talent? Because I think Toni Kroos is very talented, but I think
as a player as a whole, club, into everything. Oh, look at the face, Hamza. See, look.
I don't know, like maybe it is my Barcelona bias, and I'm really trying to put it aside. But we're talking about Xavi and Iniesta winning 2 trebles, winning a Euro, World Cup, and a Euro back to back. Like
Toni Kroos winning the World Cup. Barcelona won the treble as well at the same time as they won the World Cup, right?
But Toni Kroos won a World Cup, but did he win a Euro, a World Cup, and a Euro back to back to back?
He's not done it with his country, but with his 2 different clubs. Bayern Munich treble 2013, remember? Real Madrid treble as well. He's done quite a lot in his career.
I think he's at the table.
Coming from Bayern Leverkusen, coming from a different background from, let's say, a Bayern Munich academy. He's worked his way up, just like Luka Modric has worked his way up from Dynamo Zagreb.
Luka Modric is not sitting at the table with those 3 right now. I'm telling you that now. Really quickly, yeah.
Even for what he's done for Croatia, because a lot of people say that's success for Croatia, getting to semi-finals of World Cups back to back.
And then getting pumped by France. Yeah, long day. I'm sorry.
That's what I keep saying.
I'm not on this boat. Like
Matthew, take that as an insult to England for success, for getting to semi-finals and finals, because it's not success. I've been telling you for ages about it.
I never see it. Hamza, stop that. I never said it's success.
No, I think Toni Kroos is at the same table as those 2 in the sense of like what he's accomplished and what he's done for their countries. If you're asking me, who I'm taking or who's more talented, I think Xavi and Iniesta are just slightly ahead. Like they're gifted with some God-given power. Tony Cruz is an absolute machine, but there's just something about those two that I don't think can be recreated by anyone. There's only a few players that I would ever say that about, but Tony Cruz is like one of the most, I mean, decorated and hardworking and respectable too. Like there's class about him. So I think I'd say he'll sit at the same table as them in terms of what he's been able to accomplish in his football career.
Tony Cruz is the most slept on midfielder I've ever seen in world football. Just doesn't, apart from Clarence Seedorf. Clarence Seedorf first, then Tony Cruz for me. I just think Tony Cruz is unreal of what he's done. And he just doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon as well. And the fact that he turns up for Germany, I know it's only 2 friendlies, but he's going to be getting the crowd absolutely bananas in the European Championships as well, because he's got that presence and that aura about him as well that we've seen as well. Someone who hasn't got much presence, Ronald Koeman, Netherlands, losing again. Looking at this team, Matthew, and you're looking Virgil van Dijk, Matthias de Ligt, Denzel Dumfries, Memphis Depay. These are superstars for the Netherlands national team. And there are superstars on the bench, up-and-coming ballers who have been shining this season, once again, not getting their credit where it's due. And they're not playing as a starting team, which is really worrying to see. I'm going to list out Jeremy Frimpong, who didn't start for the Netherlands today. We're talking about Xavi Simons, who I think is one of the most special talents in world football coming through this season, who I think will be an absolute star at the European Championships because he's been balling for RB Leipzig. Such flair about these players, and we're not seeing them for the Netherlands national side as well. And Quinton Timber, the brother of Jurien Timber as well, doesn't really get a starting position for the Netherlands national team. Quick word on Netherlands, Matthew, and then Sarah as well. But again, I'm very disappointed with the Netherlands from what I've seen this season.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm very disappointed in them. You know, like I just don't expect anything from them anymore. They're that type of team where when they play a big team, you can see them turning over someone in a one-off game. But as the tournament goes on, you go, you're not going to win it. There's just so much missing, and I don't even know what they need to do managerial-wise, because I thought Van Gaal was the one that was going to win something for them, but obviously that didn't happen. Then they brought in Koeman, and I was like, okay, that's not happening. So I really don't know in terms of managerial where they go. They've got the talent, but there's issues at the moment. I think Simons was saying today about he's no longer talking to the Dutch press because they're saying stuff about, exactly. So they've got all these things going on at the moment. So I'm concerned for them. I feel like it's one of them, they're going to have great players, but they're never really going to achieve anything. And it's going to be one of them which is going to peter out and going to be like, oh, remember that guy that was part of that Dutch team, but they didn't win anything. Same
Wesley Sneijder. Remember when Wesley Sneijder was playing for the Netherlands? What happened? Nothing.
Nothing. You know
Nothing,
what I mean?
That's
and
all.
unfortunately, you know, so it's quite sad. They were not too far away, you know, when Robin was 1-on-1 and Casillas saved with his foot. I'm sure Sarah remembers that.
Cape Town would have been very different that evening if he scored.
You know, I would have had my vuvuzela in town. I was in Cape Town. That's my people there, Cape Town. But
I'm more of a Durban person myself. It should have been held in Durban. That's all I'm saying. I'm looking at it's true. Durban's a better city than Cape Town, in my opinion. Less crime as well. Shout out to all of our South African listeners as well. But sorry, let me hear your thoughts on Virgil van Dijk, especially for the Netherlands. Someone who a lot of Premier League fans are seen as one of the best ever centre backs, which I hugely disagree with when you're looking at what is achieved and what is not achieved for the international team as well. There's a lot of pressure on him as a leader of this team. And we saw him crumble against Argentina in the World Cup in 2022 as well. Can we expect more from this Netherlands leadership group of Memphis Depay, Virgil van Dijk, Matthias de Ligt, or do you think Ronald Koeman's kind of just going to be going through the motions coming up to this tournament?
Well, if you're asking me how I feel about Ronald Koeman as a coach,
We've heard this before.
Maybe the most hated manager I have, maybe genuinely. So to see him suffer and not do well, happy days. But it seems like, he's not really the right guy for this job either. Like what Matthew kind of alluded to after Van Gaal, after, you know, the Argentina match and then the changeover, and they still haven't really gotten it together with the players that they have. I think there's a lot of pressure on Van Dijk. I'm not taking anything away from him because if you know football, this guy is a great defender. There's nothing against him, but I still feel like they don't have a proper starting 11, even though they have a lot of talent to pick from. We do have to remember, though, in terms of today, that they were missing Frankie de Jong, who is a talisman for them. Obviously, he's still injured. But I'm just looking ahead here. They're in a group with Poland who just qualified today, and they had to. Did they go to penalties? I saw they went into extra time, but
They
Poland.
beat Wales, unfortunately. So sad for our Welsh listeners as well. But you're not going to the Euros, unfortunately. But Scotland are.
Yeah,
It's on penalties,
yeah.
yeah.
But then they're in a group with France. I don't think they're going to be France, and then Austria, who decided to take it to
Ballers.
Turkey today. I mean, like,
Mhm.
is there a chance that Netherlands aren't getting out of this group? Because I think it could happen.
Netherlands could be the
Yeah.
best of the three. Like, when the third place team qualifies, they could be the best of the three.
Oh,
What I'm
don't
looking at.
I hate when they do that. It's so
Oh yeah.
Scapegoating.
confusing to yeah, like just put the top two in and let's move along. Oh no, it's so troubling. Yeah, you're right. They could go through if they finish third, but no, that's it's a tough group for them. And I mean, yeah, their best chance was in that match against Argentina and they couldn't get it done in the end. So I don't know. I feel like since that Robin Schneider generation, and even with them, like you guys said, they still didn't win anything. And it's like, hey,
Van
then
Persie up front as well. Crazy.
yeah, never forget that
Mm.
flying header. Jeez.
What a game that was. Incredible. But I'm looking at the fact the last couple of games they have rotated their side, they have changed their systems and their formations as well. But I heavily believe that Xavi Simons is going to be the talisman for the Netherlands coming up in the European Championships. I definitely think that, even though he's not speaking to the Dutch press because there's a lot of pressure put on his young shoulders as well. If the Netherlands want to get the best out of this team, they've got to play through Xavi Simons. They've got to rely on his flair, his ability on the ball, because a lot of these players, without Frankie de Jong in this midfield, they can't rely on much in this team to get them forward. Memphis Depay, for me, is a clutch player. He will come through, which is great to see, but it's not reliable. He's not a classic goal scorer that we're used to seeing from the Netherlands. The Ruud van Nistelrooys, the Van Bastens, the Van Persies. We're not used to seeing a different type of striker for the Netherlands shine like we have done. And Memphis Depay may end up being the all-time Netherlands goal scorer, but realistically speaking, at international tournaments, you can't rely upon him, in my opinion, as well. You need to see Frimpong start. We need to see Van Dijk shine, and we can't be having Daley Blind at left wing back, who's now 34 years of age as well. It doesn't
Mhm.
work well for me, in my opinion, as well. What also doesn't work well for me, in my opinion, as well, is seeing Portugal in a 3-4-2-1 formation to shoe in Danilo and Pepe. I know Bruno Fernandes wasn't playing today. He was given the evening off to go back home to Manchester to recover from an injury, which is fair enough as well. But Joshua said last week, didn't he, Matthew, that Portugal aren't a team to be worried about. But I want to know your thoughts, Matthew. Are they a team to be worried about? Would you be worried about Portugal once again in the Euros?
Nah, again, I feel like with them, I think people think there's something to be concerned about with how they won that Euros that one time. Was it Eder with the
They
goal,
finished. They That was
golden
the
goal?
first Euros tournament where
Remember?
if you finish third, you can qualify as the best of the rest, and that's how Portugal qualified.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and Portugal got through. Yeah, I look at them individually. I think they've got talent as well. But I feel like
Ballers.
when you win to win these competitions, you need your experienced players, everyone to come together, and everyone has to put in a great performance. And don't really see that with Portugal. I do feel like as it goes, I think they'll get further than the Dutch, but yeah, I feel like come quarterfinals, I think they'll struggle a bit. And I don't know what they're doing up top at the moment. Is it what Silva? They've gone up top. Was it
I don't know
Ramos?
what they're doing
I
up
don't know
front as
how.
well because they had
Who's that
Ronaldo
They
connect?
still
ahead
had
of João
Ronaldo.
Felix and Otavio either side.
Yeah,
Gonzalo Ramos didn't play
you see what
today
I'm saying.
either.
So yeah, who I don't. By the way, I don't rate him at all, guys. I don't know about you. I don't see it with him. I
I
watch this
don't see
guy
it
from
with
PSG. I'm
him,
like,
but he does do a lot better for the national team, it seems, than for PSG.
mm,
He
Uh,
showed up more for
mm,
Portugal, I think.
It showed up way more for
mm,
Portugal because Portugal have a lot more attacking players that play to
Mm.
his style of play. In PSG, we know they're only
mm.
playing to one man's tune, and it's Kylian Mbappe. And
Yeah,
Gonzalo Ramos doesn't want to hold out on the left wing and then trap back because Mbappe has just run through a defense and not got his way. And
mm,
that's what Ramos doesn't want to do. But you're looking at the game
mm,
the other day against Sweden. They won 5-2, playing their normal formation under Roberto
mm,
Martinez, a 4-3-3. Bruno Fernandes scoring, Gonzalo Ramos scoring, Rafael Leao scoring. And these three players weren't playing today as well. They just keep rotating their team, which is great for them because they've
mm,
got a lot of strength and depth. But I'm looking at this team. I personally don't know how I would set up a Portugal's team without Cristiano Ronaldo. I still think Cristiano Ronaldo would be the guy to start as a number 9.
mm,
Rafael Leao on the left wing as well. Bruno Fernandes behind them. But I'm looking at this defense. Do you still start Pepe, Sarah? 41-year-old Pepe with Ruben Diaz or Antonio Silva? Do you go for the tried and tested centre back who has been killing it all his career, who did a really good job against Arsenal, I must say, Matthew? Or do you go for the
Yeah.
new up-and-coming wonder kid from Benfica in Antonio Silva? Who would you go for, Sarah, and why?
I think you have to go for Antonio Silva. I mean, like, maybe you bring Pepe just for the
Just.
bands and just for like the leadership in that team, if you can afford to. But I can't see him a 41-year-old. And like, listen, Pepe has squeezed out everything he has left in his career, and like you mentioned, did well against Arsenal. But you can't be he can't be taking up a spot over, I think, Silva in a tournament that is going to be so demanding, and there's going to be so many like 17-year-olds, 18-year-old kids that are just going to dance around him and break his
Old enough to be his
ankles.
son, basically.
Oh geez, yeah, that's crazy. Also,
Lamine
sorry,
Yamal is old enough to be Pepe's son. That's crazy when you put it in
no, that
perspective.
makes me ill. That makes me ill. Where was Bernardo Silva?
He was right wing in the first game against Sweden, and he didn't play today. In this
Yeah,
game
your
today.
best player. Sorry, it's not Ronaldo. It's Bernardo Silva. Like, I'll just be honest. That's
I don't think he is. He doesn't really turn up for Portugal in these international tournaments. He hasn't done it before previously, and he shies away quite a lot. It's like with Diogo
Mhm.
Jota, they shy away in these international tournaments. And if I'm talking about Portugal's best player from my perspective, if I'm looking at it, I'm gonna be relying on João Cancelo personally, left back.
So
You're
good.
looking you're looking at him and you're thinking this is where it's gonna go. Rafael Leao, we know he has his ups and downs, his peaks and troughs, and you want to see more of his peaks, like we saw at the World Cup, scoring with a smile on his face in slow motion. What a moment that was against Ghana. But again, ghosting in the other games going forward. We don't know how Cristiano Ronaldo will be dealing with going back into European football, the speed of European football, if he's going to continue playing at that style of play as well. But I think Bruno Fernandes has never really done it for me for Portugal as well, because the play has always been through him at Manchester United and not through him at Portugal. Roberto Martinez needs to be cooking with Diogo Dalot and João Cancelo as the best two fullbacks for me at the European Championships for him, because you can't start Nuno Mendes, you can't really start. I forgot who the right back was as well, but genuinely I think those two are the ones that are going to get Portugal further and further, because you need that width in his Portugal side to be thriving as well. Any last thoughts on Portugal?
I think the
Sarah?
other one is it Semedo. Is it
Tomato, that's
Nelson
Semedo?
it.
Is it Semedo?
Semedo. No,
Nelson
he's a
Tomato.
baller. He's a baller. He does well for Portugal, I find.
Yeah, he was decent as well, which was good. But
Do you
I'm looking
guys
at it.
start? Sorry.
No, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Do you guys start Ronaldo in these matches?
I saw
Because
Ronaldo.
I
we've
wouldn't.
I don't know if I would either. I just want to hear why
Mm.
or why not. We saw them kind of experiment with that in the World Cup, right? They started him for the first two matches and then not for the third group stage, or was
Yeah.
it the round of 16 that he didn't get the start and then they ended up
Yeah,
beating?
he came off the bench against
Mm.
Morocco because Gonzalo
Oh,
Ramos, who we were just speaking about earlier,
Mm.
doesn't really do it consistently at
isn't it
club
because
level.
he
So
scored in the previous match though? He had like
he
that
scored the
hat
hat trick.
against
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Switzerland, so they were
yeah.
like, let's start it. But then
Let's
again,
go
to
for
be
it.
honest,
Yeah.
Ronaldo didn't change that game whatsoever. I mean, Morocco played really good football against Portugal. Like they knew what they
No,
were
very
doing.
good.
And the series,
But
unbelievably, it's
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It'll definitely, for me, I think it's Ronaldo's last dance. I don't think he's going to be making it to the 2026 World Cup. I
Mm.
think if Cristiano Ronaldo was to start for this Portugal team, they can't play through his best strengths anymore, because we don't know what his best strengths are going to be at what 38,
Mm.
39 years of age when it comes to the
Mhm.
tournament as well.
Mm.
I really want him to do well. I want him to shut a lot of people up, because he's been doing that all his career. 39 years of age. He's been playing since he's 17 years of age. He really should have won the Euros in 2004 against Greece, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. But I don't see how Gonzalo Ramos starts consistently over Cristiano Ronaldo in this Portugal team as well. And
Mm.
people say, oh, it's not 2016 anymore. But I think genuinely, just having that aura, that presence as an opposition defense, seeing Cristiano Ronaldo line up after having all of this respite in the Saudi League, preparing, because that's what they're doing. We've spoken about this before. When Lionel Messi goes to the USA and Ronaldo goes back to Saudi Arabia, they are resting for their international club legacy. They are resting for their international legacy now more than they've ever done for their club legacy, because they don't really care
Mm.
about Al Nassr and Inter Miami to the same respect of Argentina and Portugal. You're going to see Messi ball out like we've never seen before at the Copa America. I genuinely think Cristiano Ronaldo has got one more dance in him. Semi-finals maybe for
Yeah.
Portugal, first impressions, but I definitely think they're going to be going to the quarterfinals, especially with their group that they've got as well. But I'd start Ronaldo over Gonzalo Ramos. What about you, Matthew?
For me, I personally wouldn't. I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I look at Ronaldo, he has. Don't get me wrong. We know what he is. But some games, I kind of feel like you kind of have to play to him. And I feel like they're a lot more fluid. I don't know if is Adrian Silva still part of their squad? Because he's
Adrian
a
Silva's
very
a
good
centre.
player. Adrian
Adrian Silva's a
Silva.
centre mid.
I don't know. No, they've got another Silva.
Andre
I'm
Silva.
imagining.
Andre
There
Silva.
is definitely another Silva. Andre Silva, sorry, Andre Silva, yeah, him. Yeah, I don't know if he's part of the squad, but I think his quality, and we've still got Leao, João Felix, and there's another guy at Benfica that reminds me of Bernardo, funny enough, little small guy. Even him, that I feel like they've got quality individuals that they can do without Ronaldo. Don't get me wrong, if they've got a game where it's like 0-0 or 1-1, cool, we need that goal, and maybe bring him on and maybe get the goal for them. But I think it's beyond him starting games for them now. That's just my opinion.
Nah, that's fair enough as well. Sorry, agree or disagree with Matthew?
I agree with Matthew. I think we will see him start some matches, but I think I've noticed this for a while now with Ronaldo and the teams he's on is that everyone has to play to him. And then when he doesn't play, the team is exactly like you said, more fluid. They become more of an actual team instead of just giving it to one player. The biggest example was Karim Benzema absolutely shining after Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid. Like you see these kind of things, and even in that World Cup match against Morocco, like I mean, I just feel like other players were able to kind of come out more. It wasn't the best match from Portugal, but it still wasn't bad. But I think we'll see him start, and then we won't see him start because they're going to see what kind of flows better under Martinez.
And they have that luxury now as well with
Yeah.
Gonzalo Ramos. And if they are going to go for someone like Andre Silva as a third choice striker, dare I say, maybe even playing Diogo Jota as a lone striker as well, that could be the case after his form this season for Liverpool. So that could be an option as well if he recovers from injury. I think that's all the favourites we've gone for. We don't really have to mention Italy because Italy, they won last time and I don't need PTSD. And we don't really need to mention Denmark because Denmark's just my personal preference because Rasmus Højlund is going to ball out as well. To end the stream, everyone, I want to get your top 5 Wonder Kids to watch at the European Championships this summer from one nation per player. And yes, Georgia have qualified. So if you want to mention a certain Georgian that Sarah can pronounce perfectly and Matthew can't really pronounce, by all means, the choice is yours.
Easy.
That's fine.
Already. You know I can
That's
do it.
Matthew, I'm ready for you. Your top 5 Wonder Kids to watch, one player per nation. Who are we going to watch at the European Championship from your point of view? Let's go.
So obviously I've gone for the JB. I had to do Bellingham first of all.
I thought you meant Johan
I feel
Bakayoko for
like
Belgium.
I'm expecting that. Funny enough, I was gonna bring him up, but nah, I'm going with Bellingham. I feel like I'm expecting a massive tournament from Bellingham. I feel like, do you know what it is with Bellingham as well? I get quite gassed with him. I look at I don't know if you lot saw the advert with Zidane. Bro,
Yes.
this guy didn't
Yeah,
even speak, but the advert just had me
crazy.
thinking, oh my God, like, you are just honestly. But I look at him and I feel like he's got an aura around him. The guy's so young, he's a presence. He looked today, he scored last minute. He's got it in him. So I feel like he's one of his player to watch. I'm going with Musiala. I feel the guy's unbelievable. His dribbling ability, like there's not much more to say on it. He's the type of player I wish England did get him.
If we
Had we have
kept
had
him.
someone like him as well in that team, I would have said exactly, but we missed out on that one. But yeah, quality player. Everyone knows about him. Lamine Yamal, obviously Sarah knows already. Like the guy's unbelievable. Like I watch him, and sometimes we've got players left-footed, but you know what they're gonna do. You can't stop them, and that's the sign of such a quality player. And to be doing it at such a young age as well, again, scary in the year, scary hours. The one I haven't really watched, but I put in is it Zaire Emery? Do you
Yes.
pronounce
Oh my
it?
God.
That I was watching for PSG. I feel like when I watch him, he powerful. He's very powerful, quick as well, and them type of players. Well, at a young age to be like that, I think he's going to blend into this French team phenomenally. But I've got one random one, guys, and it's the one. Where is his name? I put down his name here. I watched a bit. Is it Vermeeren for Belgium? I'm expecting the young guy, the Atletico guy.
Yeah, he signed in Atletico in
Sorry, Matt. No, yeah, I don't know how much game time, but from what I saw of him, if he does get to play for Belgium, I think he'll be quality. Some of the stuff and all these reviews I was reading, I wrote one here where someone said he's compared to Andres Iniesta and Andre Pirlo. I know it's a bit far, I know it's a bit far-fetched, but from what I've seen, quality player. And listen, I feel this is going to be a Euros where we all come away looking at all these youngsters, all these younger players, and thinking, wow, like it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them, going forward. So yeah, those are the five. There's so many you could name, but those are my main five.
Nicely done. I mean, the opinion will change by the time June comes around as well. So there'll be lots of
Yeah,
different changes as well. But
definitely.
initial thoughts are always great to hear. Sarah, top five
Mm.
wonder kids to watch at Euro 2024 for you. Who are you going for and why?
Genuinely, Matthew took like 4 out of 5 of them. So I'm going off the top of my head here just to switch it up. But we're going to go Florian Wirtz for
Nice.
Vinny.
That's what I like to see.
You have to. Musial is obviously, I think the two of them are just going to ball out. But we already saw him score against France. Hello, amazing. And he's had an absolute season. So I think it's only going to be getting better and better for him. Portugal, Francisco Conceição. I think he's going to shine. It's time to, I don't know, Portugal are kind of going through a little bit of a generational shift. You still got Ronaldo and Pepe, but then you have guys like Andre Silva and Conceição. Like, I mean, I just, yeah, we'll see. But I think he deserves a lot of playing time from what he's done with Porto this season. Barcelona, Pau Cubarsí for Spain. I don't think he played as much as he will. I think he was getting a lot of substitution time in these last 2 matches, but I think he's going to genuinely be he might even be a starter, honestly.
You reckon you think Cubarsí is gonna start over Lenormand and Pau Torres and Laporte?
Is Pau Torres coming to the team? Don't know. Still waiting.
Ooh.
Still waiting. He wasn't called up. I'm not even sure what's happening. If Pau Torres doesn't
I don't get that either. It's been fantastic.
I don't agree with it either. But if Pau Torres doesn't get called up, honestly, I think he might get a start depending on how the first 2 matches go in group stage. He might start the 3rd game. And I'd love to see it. I mean, all of a sudden, this kid is just like starting every match for Barcelona, like the last 10 matches. He's incredible. And him and Lamine going to be great. Okay, Conceição, Wirtz, who was going to say? I don't know. I think I've lost my train of thought.
So you mentioned a Spanish player, you mentioned a German player, and you've mentioned a Portuguese player.
Yeah, I know, because Kylian Mbappe is not a wonder kid.
He'll always be a wonder kid in our eyes. That's what we were saying with Salim. It's like, it's 25 years old, Salim. Give it a rest. It's not 16 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, who else is there? You have Rasmus Højlund, right? Is that going to be one of your wonder kids?
He was one of mine, but yeah, genuinely,
Not
do you think
taken.
genuinely Rasmus Højlund would be one for me, but anyone else from your point of view that you think, you know what, we've got to watch out for them
Oh,
early
no,
doors?
come on. We already said it, but Xavi Simons, you got to say it. You got to say it. He's been a baller since he was at Barcelona. It's funny because I remember
He's had a lot of expectations since he's at Barcelona as well, when you think about what he's come
I
from.
remember watching when he was this big, like watching all the social media stuff on him. And like, it's so crazy because I feel like I've seen this kid grow up. Like it's weird when you get to an age where you're just like, I've genuinely see you play when you're 10 years old and now you're playing, national team level. It's crazy. Yeah, I'll go Xavi soon. Can I give 4? Because mine have been stolen.
That's fine. That's fine. If we're going through that game as well, I'll go through 5 players who I need to watch out for that haven't been mentioned yet as well. We're going to start with Georgia. We're going to start with Kubica Kvaratskhelia. Georgia have qualified for the European Championships in Germany in 2024 via the playoff versus Greece. This is crazy for the country of Georgia. I think it's their first ever European Championships, and fair play to them. And especially the fact that Kubica Kvaratskhelia is part of a team where they've qualified through the playoffs, and you're seeing a team like Norway with Erling Haaland and Martin Odegaard not qualify for the tournament in the summer, which is crazy. So fair play to Kubica Kvaratskhelia. He doesn't play as he normally does for Napoli, so he's playing more of a system player, but maybe that will be a shock to their system because I think they've got Portugal in their group as well, which will be big for them. Very, very big for them as well. Another player to watch out for at the European Championship, Turkish international Kenan Yildiz. We're not talking about Arda Güler, we're talking about Kenan Yildiz, who's been balling for very boring Juventus this season as well. Boring Juventus, as we like to say, Sarah. But he's been the one that's brightened them up since January, I would say. He's getting more involved with Dusan Vlahovic. He's getting them back into contention for a title charge, a last-minute title charge, even if Inter Milan are flopping in the Champions League as they have done this season, which is embarrassing. Absolutely worrying to see. Number 3, of course, I'm going to be talking about Rasmus Højlund. What a fantastic player he's been to watch this season, proving so many doubters wrong, coming back from injury, coming off the bench today in their game as well. And the fact of the matter is the Danish media are still blasting him because he can't handle criticism apparently from the national team, and it goes to show that Rasmus Højlund's been dealing with so much adversity all season long, and the Danish national team should really be building around him and supporting him. But Danish internationals have a lot of they have a lot of press on them as well, which is really worrying to see. But Rasmus Højlund, I'm looking forward to seeing how he balls out, and I think he'll score against England as well. I mean, Lewis Dunk, who started today, awful defender to see, and John Stones and Harry Maguire are injured at the moment, which is embarrassing as well. England, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Phil Foden. Can we not find a place for Phil Foden where he's not compromising his talent, his ability in an England side? He's been absolutely fantastic all season long for Manchester City. I don't see how we don't build around such a world-class talent that we're seeing at England. And we've seen this time and time and time and time again. We're playing players for the sake of playing players instead of playing them in their best positions that would suit the team. Realistically speaking, Phil Foden is one of the best players England have ever produced. And if we ruin this talent, it's going to be another. What if we played Phil Foden and Bellingham together, like we saw Gerrard and Lampard play together, and it didn't work well? We need someone to link it together. And I think Phil Foden will be that guy if we're playing to his strengths as well. And number 5, someone who got very much disrespected this season as well, but genuinely, I think is going to be one of the stars of the tournament. Jeremy Frimpong. He has to start over Denzel Dumfries for me in this Netherlands national side as well. He's been the best fullback, wingback for me in world football this season. He's been scoring goals, he's been assisting, he's been tracking back and defending. He can dribble much better than Denzel Dumfries and is much faster than Denzel Dumfries as well. If Ronald Koeman had any sense, he'd drop Denzel Dumfries to allow Jeremy Frimpong to be let loose in this national team for the Netherlands as well. And that's all I've got to say, really. Georgia, Turkey, Denmark, England, Netherlands. Those are my 5 wonder kids to watch at the European Championships.
I remembered my 5th one, and then I realized when you didn't say it. If this is pending, he gets called to the team. But if Kobe Mainoo goes,
he's going.
Kobe Mainoo.
Mainoo's going to the Euros. He can't not go. It'd be the biggest slap in the face to all the England fans after the performance he had today against Belgium for him not to go to the European Championships. And dare I say, I think he's still good enough to start in this England side. You're looking at Conor Gallagher kick the ball out to the pitch. You're seeing Jordan Henderson fail at Ajax because he can't do it in Saudi Arabia either. And it's worrying to see how Gareth Southgate still plays favourites in his team. So Kobe Mainoo has to start for England at the European Championships for me. But again, great shout everyone with their wonder kids to watching. Great live stream that we've had today talking about the international break. And it's the last time we'll be talking about the international break until the European Championships. So we've got it all about our system. We're good to go. Back to club football. I'm rocking and rolling, which will be good. Everyone, thank you very much for your time. Everyone, thank you very much for listening and for your questions in the comments as well. It's been absolutely fantastic. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Peace.